So I considered going into detail about the inaccuracies in The Lost World, the novel, but to be brutally honest, there's really nothing new to add with anything in that book when compared to the first one, and I've already gone into the biggest thing, which are the camouflaging Carnotauruses. I talked about them when I talked about the Carnotaurus in the film canon, so yeah. But I thought it might be fun, and stupid, but also fun, to talk about some of the inaccuracies when it comes to the video game portrayal of some of these animals. We already talked about Jurassic Park the game, but there are a lot of Jurassic Park video games, and the two that I personally remember the most fondly are the ones on the Sega Genesis, Jurassic Park and Jurassic Park Rampage Edition. Both take some liberties with the source material. They are not in canon with anything outside of each other, but they are really fun side-scrollers. I actually like both of them quite a bit. I like the first one a bit more than Rampage Edition, as Rampage Edition got a bit too crazy for my tastes. But outside of that, you know, they're fun games. But of course we're here to talk about inaccuracies, and you're probably like, are you really gonna nitpick inaccuracies on a 16-bit video game? These are sprites, Darkness. I mean, we really doing this? And yes. Yes, I am. We're doing this. And I am completely throwing out the rule of no repeats, because if I did that, we wouldn't talk about any of these dinosaurs, because, well, all of them have been discussed before. These are the dinosaurs in the Jurassic Park Genesis video games, rated from least to most accurate. Velociraptor. I really don't know what you expected. For the same reasons as the film version, these raptors are, well, quite a bit wrong. Mostly, they're just too big, and they lack feathers, but you already knew that. Pronated wrists, the whole shebang. They look like the raptors from the movie, and are wrong for all the same reasons. But can we talk about the insane jumping ability that is showcased in the games, even more so than in the films? For those that don't know, you can actually play as the raptor in both these games, which is a really cool and fun feature. But the raptor's jumping is insane. You can jump multiple screens. Like, I guess if we were gonna measure it, at least 30 feet, which is just absurd. It's actually necessary to do this to get through certain platforming segments. It's just, no. I don't think even the Utah Raptor could have done that. It's a fun gameplay mechanic, but yeah, definitely, not paleontologically accurate. Dilophosaurus. Slowly but surely, this is starting to sound like my list for the original Jurassic Park movie, but I promise you, there are some differences. Dilophosaurus is also not very accurate for pretty much the same reasons as in the film, the frill, the venom spit, but I will give the games this. They actually fixed the size problem. The Dilophosaurs are more in line with how big they should be. I think they're still a little bit on the small side, but not nearly as bad as the movie's portrayal. So that is one benefit they have over the film canon, in that they're closer to the proper size. So hey, score 1 for the Sega Genesis. Brachiosaurus. Now, wait, what? Brachiosaurus is this low on the list? And yes, because the game does something with it that the films avoided entirely. And to a degree, I kind of forgive it. See, every time you run into a Brachiosaurus in this game, they're always in water. You can only see their necks popping up above the surface. This dates back to a now discredited theory that sauropods spent most of their lives in the water because they were so heavy. Their long necks were to keep their heads above the surface so they could breathe. The game lays into this, but I don't think it's because they wanted it to be inaccurate. I'm pretty sure they did it, because frankly, the Brachies would have been too big for the game otherwise. Like, how are you gonna put this animal on the screen? You physically can't do it. So I'm pretty sure because of this reason, that is why they chose to go with the water thing, even though it's wrong. So because of that, the Brachies in the game are actually less accurate than the film portrayal. But at least here there's a valid reason for it. Pteranodon. Here's a not dinosaur, it's a flying reptile, but a prehistoric animal that did not appear in the first Jurassic Park. It was nice to see them included, though their portrayal is a little off. Not because of anything obviously wrong. I mean, I would say there's no pictofibers, But we're talking about pixel art here. I'm not sure they physically could have put those on there, so we're gonna leave that off. What I am gonna say is that, particularly in Rampage Edition, the Pteranodons pick Grant up and carry him around, which is probably not something they were physically capable of doing in any way. A full-grown human male is probably much too heavy for a Pteranodon to lift, but hey, it was an interesting gameplay mechanic at the very least. Gallimimus. This is one that only appears in the Rampage Edition, not in the first game, just to be clear. But regardless of that, the Galley's interesting in the game, not because of anything inherently wrong. I mean, no feathers, pronated wrists, the whole shebang. You knew all that already, but you ride a Gallimimus in one of the levels of Rampage Edition, which, while awesome, is absurd. Gallimimus was pretty big. In theory, I suppose they could support the weight of a human. I mean, humans are technically capable of riding ostriches, so I suppose Gallimimus is not out of the question. Whether or not a wild one would let you do that is an entirely separate question, and I doubt it, but, you know, hey, it's fun. It's fun. Come on, this is fun. You have to give it that. Procompsognathus. Yeah, compies actually appear in the first Jurassic Park video game on the Sega Genesis, but not in the movie. It was interesting to see that, and, they're small, and green, no feathers, sure, but, look, these are really hard to judge. They're like 9 or 10 pixels in total. Like, come on, I don't know what I'm supposed to do here. Let's just move on. I'm not gonna try to nitpick these. Triceratops. The trikes in the game actually look pretty good. Solid portrayals of the animal. The only thing I would say is, for one thing, those look like elephant feet, and that's wrong. Also, I'm pretty sure, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I think these Triceratops are a bit too small. I think they should be a bit larger than this. Maybe there were some limitations with the game, so they made them smaller. It's just a guess, though. In any event, I just don't think they're big enough to be Triceratops. But the shape is alright besides the feet, so hey, no complaints otherwise. Tyrannosaurus Rex. Yeah, number 1 again. Pretty accurate, all things considered. Looks pretty much like the movie Rex, and at the time, movie Rex was pretty accurate to what paleontologists actually thought. We went over this when we talked about the movie, but I must admit, this version of the Rex kind of gets away with a lot more. It is only more accurate in the very technical sense that you never ever get to see its whole body. The Rex only appears in the game as a head, poking out of windows or walls or whatever it may be, as effectively a level hazard, because you can never technically knock the Rex out, just stun it briefly. It's an interesting idea for how to incorporate the animal into the game, and I appreciate the effort, but as a result, you could in theory argue this is one of the most accurate portrayals of the T-Rex ever displayed on the screen, because as far as its body goes, it could be whatever you want. It could be a fully accurate, bulky, bulgy, non-pronated wrist-having T-Rex. You don't know. You can't see it. We can imagine. And because of that, it kind of gets away with a whole lot more than most other portrayals would. The one thing I will say, though, and I'm fairly confident in this, I don't think, under any circumstances, could, nor would a Tyrannosaurus Rex say Sega. Call it a guess. Don't think that happened. It was pretty funny, though. Like, come on, that was great. And with that, a special thank you to my Apex Predators, Arthur Roy, Metal for Life Guy, and Dr. Racer78. Till next time, this is Darkness, and I bid you all a fun farewell.